If you're running Google Ads and feel like you're missing out on search traffic that you can't seem to capture with regular keyword campaigns, dynamic search ads might be exactly what you need. Here's the problem most people face with Google search campaigns. You spend hours researching keywords, building out ad groups, writing ads, and you're still missing out on a massive chunk of relevant search traffic because you can't possibly think of every single way that someone might search for your products. I'm Max from Kraken Digital, and we run Google Ads for e-commerce brands and service-based businesses. One of the most powerful campaign types we use, but one that most advertisers either completely ignore or set up completely wrong, is dynamic search ads. When set up correctly, DSAs can help you discover search terms you'd never think to target manually, reduce your workload maintaining keyword lists, and often deliver better ROI than standard search campaigns. Instead of you manually building keyword lists, Google's algorithm automatically matches your website pages to relevant search queries and creates ads on the fly. Sounds great, right? But here's the problem. Most people just turn on DSAs, let Google do whatever it wants, and end up wasting money on completely irrelevant traffic. Or they set it up once and never optimize it, missing the real opportunity. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to set up and optimize dynamic search ad campaigns the right way. You'll learn the campaign structure to use, how to control which pages Google can target, and how to optimize your website to make DSAs work better, how to find hidden gem keywords in your search reports, and most importantly, how to scale DSAs profitably without wasting your budget. Whether you're spending $500 or $50,000 per month on Google Ads, this framework will work for you. Let's dive in. So this is the DSA playbook for 2026. Now this may look slightly overwhelming, but don't worry, I'm going to walk you through every single step along the way. I will make sure to break it down as clearly as possible so you don't get lost anywhere on the way through. First of all, dynamic search ads can work very well when done right. They don't work for every business and they don't work in every product category, but if you have the problems that I listed in the intro here, they'll probably work quite well for you. You can see this singular campaign for DSAs. Literally, I was looking at the results yesterday. So from Jan 12 through to Feb 11, you can see it generated $48,000 in conversion value over that month with only $4,000 spent. So that's running at a 10x ROAS, and that's just one campaign. We have multiple campaigns running this account, obviously. So we can perform really, really well when it's set up correctly. So how do you set them up correctly? Well, that is exactly what I'm going to show you. First of all, we need to understand the purpose of DSAs before we go any further to make sure that you know when you need to introduce them and how you can do it. So the purpose of DSAs is basically Google crawling your website and automatically matching your pages to search queries that you wouldn't manually target. So obviously people can search for an enormous variety of things on Google, and it's very difficult to capture every single one with keywords. Even with broad match sometimes, it's difficult to get keywords that are very kind of long tail and very difficult to discern. And DSAs can sometimes get those figured out by crawling your page and matching automatically. Now, it captures 40 to 60% of long tail searches that manual keyword research misses on average. This is a stat that I pulled. It basically can cover a lot more ground than just you trying to think up, oh, what keywords are people searching for, what search terms are people searching for, and throwing them into a campaign. It eliminates the need for you to build and maintain massive keyword lists, which is really helpful. It can get very overwhelming and very difficult to manage when you have hundreds and hundreds of keywords in a campaign, and often Google will just kind of divert all the spend to one or two keywords anyway, so it's not really worth it. DSAs seem to manage these longer tail queries and kind of really specific searches and search terms more accurately and more clearly than some really big keyword lists and campaigns can. Finally, it functions as both a revenue driver and a keyword research tool. This is very important, right? So not only can it help you generate revenue for the business just through finding high intent customers, but it can also help you identify which keywords people are regularly searching for and which ones are performing well. Because there's probably a lot of keywords out there that are actually really high performers for your brand, but you just don't know about them. They may be really niche terms, long tail terms, really specific angles on the product, specific problems people are having, and you don't know that they perform well, but DSAs can identify these potential keywords, potential search terms, and then you can throw them into your own campaign and target them preferentially, which I highly recommend, and we're going to get to that later on. So when should you use DSAs? It's best for e-commerce stores with 50 plus products, so with a decent catalog, or service businesses that have well-structured websites and well-structured service pages. You can use them when you want to discover new keyword opportunities beyond your manual research. So again, just tapping into different opportunities, but you want to avoid this if your website has under 20 pages generally. So if you don't have many pages on the website, you're not going to get as much out of it. You're not going to really need it probably to the same extent. You can still test with it, but typically it's most useful for larger websites with more pages. If you have terrible meta titles, definitely don't roll it out. That is going to destroy you. We'll come to that later on as well. Or if you don't have conversion tracking. Once again, very, very important in order to effectively inform the algorithm on how to find the right people and who to find in your ads. Works best as a complement to existing search campaigns, not a replacement. So you don't need to introduce DSAs and delete all your other campaigns. It's, again, a really good way to kind of just expand beyond what you've got, start testing further out and identify new opportunities. You do need at least $20, $30 a day budget to gather meaningful data. I recommend generally a lot more than this. If you can get up to $50, $100 a day, that's awesome. But this is kind of the minimum where it's actually going to generate some level of data for you that is useful. So how do you set up DSAs? You want to create dedicated DSA campaigns. So you can create ad groups within your existing search campaigns that are for DSAs, but that can just mix attribution, make it a little bit more difficult to figure out what's actually working, and it can confuse Google as well on campaign budget allocation. So I just recommend keeping them completely separate. Chuck them in their own campaign with solely DSA ad groups, and start with manual CPC bidding, as I always recommend on search campaigns, unless you have a significant volume of conversions coming through the account. If you have a lot of conversions coming in, start with maximize conversion value, TROAS, or maximize conversion TCPA. Budget 10 to 20% of total search spend. You can even push this up potentially depending on how well it performs. This is usually a good starting point because once again, it's sort of an expansionary campaign. It's not meant to be your primary revenue driver. Target specific page categories. So don't target just all pages on the website. It's going to dilute your data a lot more. It's going to make it harder for you to identify specific high performing opportunities because there's just so much that Google can target and it becomes a little bit too broad. Exclude non-commercial pages. So you don't want to be driving people to about us, contact, cart, checkout, out of stock items, shipping pages, refund policies. Don't send people to those kind of pages with DSAs because it's not going to generate you any revenue. You want to be sending people to product pages and sales pages essentially, or service pages if you're a service-based business. Optimize your meta titles before launching. Very, very important. They are your ad headlines. So Google pulls your meta titles from the website and makes that your ad headline for DSAs. Literally word for word. So make sure that your meta titles are structured very, very well. You can do this by using extensions, by checking your site data, checking the back end of your website builder. I'm sure if you own a brand, you know how to check the meta titles on your pages or meta content on your pages. Just make sure they're well structured. This is a good recommendation that you can use. If you structure your pages, meta titles such as product, benefit, brand, that could work quite well. For example, creatine, muscle building for men, bulk nutrients, right? As an example. Write 3 to 4 ad descriptions highlighting benefits, add all extensions, site links, call out structured snippets. So you get to write the ad descriptions yourself. Google doesn't pull these from the page data. These are the one thing that you can actually write your own in DSAs. So make sure that they're effective, make sure they're relevant, make sure they are highly conducive to getting a click on your ad, and highlight your benefits and extensions as well. So highlight your benefits and then add all your extensions to the ad. So make sure you have site links, call out, structured snippets, all that good stuff. Again, it just gives you more ad real estate, gives you more potential to get a click, gives you more potential to improve your performance on Google. Add negative keywords from day one. You want to be throwing in as many negative keywords as you can to prevent low quality traffic, because as we know, DSAs are very expansionary. As I mentioned a couple of times, we don't want to allow Google to expand too far into low potential, low intent categories. So if someone's searching for free or cheap or jobs or how to or competitor names in a lot of cases, you don't want these new DSA. You want your DSA to be used as a campaign that can identify new opportunities to target for your product. You don't want to be targeting these kind of terms. They're low intent modifiers. People who are searching for a free product or a cheap product usually aren't really high intent buyers. People searching for jobs obviously aren't looking to actually buy your service, are probably looking to get employed for your service. How to, same thing. If you're like a plumbing company and someone's searching how to fix a toilet, probably not as high intent as someone who's actively looking for someone else to fix a toilet for them. And competitor names, I generally don't recommend in DSAs. Competitors should only be in their own campaigns because you need to target them in a very specific way with specific ad copy. Alrighty, mistakes to avoid. So when you do set up these dynamic search ad campaigns, you need to avoid doing these things. First of all, setting and forgetting. DSAs need very frequent search term reviews and continuous negative keyword additions. They're a campaign that if you let it go off the rails and you don't strictly monitor it, it will spend a lot of money on really irrelevant traffic. So you need to try and keep it as nailed in as you can. Again, the more conversion data you have, the better it will typically perform because it has a better idea of what terms perform well for you and what people it should target. But in saying that as well, you want to try and keep it on the rails as much as you can by pushing very specific negative keywords to prevent low quality traffic. Don't ignore your meta titles. Seriously, this is very, very important. I know I mentioned it in the last section here, but your meta titles are literally your ad headlines. So if you have crappy meta titles that aren't optimized on your website, it's going to put absolute garbage onto the Google ads and no one's going to click it and you're just going to be wasting money. Make sure your meta titles are high quality and all of your page data is high quality ideally. Audit and optimize them before launching your ads or they will be terrible. No page exclusions. So again, as I said earlier, make sure to exclude your non-commercial pages. I have seen a lot of people leave these pages in and end up spending hundreds of dollars a day to send people to not a contact us. Well, if you're a service-based business, contact us isn't too bad, but spending hundreds of dollars a day to send them to an about page or a our story page, do not want that. Do not want that at all. It's not going to make you any money. It's going to get you really confused buyers coming through. Start with target ROAS or TCPA. So you can only start with these kind of bidding strategies if you are getting very consistent conversions in the account. Otherwise, I recommend starting with manual CPC or max clicks. This is my standard operating procedure across almost all the campaigns we run. Typically only implement TROAS, TCPA, if you are getting very consistent performance ready. Finally, not mining for search terms. This is a really big one. This is probably the most common mistake because it is the most niche use of a DSA campaign, but also probably the best used, I personally think. It allows you to identify untapped opportunities. So if you review your search term reports weekly to find winners for exact match campaigns and ag negatives for waste. So basically you can create new campaigns with exact match terms of the terms that are performing well in your DSA. So you may see in your DSAs that there's a few terms that are really pumping a lot of revenue through. Pull them out, put them in their own search campaign, an exact match format. You'll likely get some pretty good performance out of them. And then also add negative keywords to prevent waste. So you don't want to have irrelevant traffic coming through, as we mentioned. Make sure you're keeping a very close eye on your search terms to find winners and negate and remove losers. Okay, so how to scale and leverage your insights from the campaign. So as I just said, mine for your keywords. After you've been running for 2 or 3 weeks, review your search term report, take top 10 to 20% and add them as exact match keywords in standard search campaigns. Just as I mentioned before, make sure you're pulling them out, putting them in their own campaigns. If they're performing well, it gives you a lot more leverage to target high intent queries. 3-phase scaling. So testing first, then optimizing, and then scaling. So it's not a case of immediately scaling up in most cases. Google usually needs a decent amount of time to latch on and identify how to effectively target the right people through your page if you're new to DSAs, if you don't have much data in the account, and if you just haven't run dynamic search ad campaigns in the account before. So make sure that you take this in a 3-phase approach where first of all, you're testing and gathering data, then you're optimizing by fixing potentially your meta titles and graduating keywords in new campaigns and continually removing low quality traffic. And then you can start increasing the budget once you really are nailed in and getting the performance that you're looking for. Landing page data. So see which pages Google matches to your queries, double down on high performers, optimize or remove poor performers. So not only can you use the data to improve your Google Ads campaigns and create new campaigns for high intent queries, you can also use the data from your landing pages to identify what people are searching for, the data from your search terms to identify what people are searching for and to employ those terms more in your landing page. So if people are looking for a specific solution to a specific problem that you haven't mentioned in your landing page, make sure you put it in there. It'll make it more relevant and it'll make your user more likely to click through and purchase. Feed insights across accounts. So use DSA search terms to inform your content creation, shopping campaign pages, remarketing audience. So you can use DSA terms for just about anything. DSAs are a window into the untapped opportunities that exist on your Google Ads account, but not only your Google Ads account, but across all of your platforms. If you find, once again, that people are persistently searching for a specific problem or solution, you should be outlining and showing that problem and solution across all of your platforms, all your content creation, your shopping campaign, landing pages, your shopping titles even, and your remarketing audiences. So just make sure that you really are trying to deploy the insights from this campaign as best you can because it is one of the best campaigns that exist for insights in the account. Finally, budget allocation. So once you've proven the success of your DSAs, typically allocate 15 to 20% of your total search budget to them. Again, this is a completely rough guideline. Totally depends on your account, totally depends on how well it's performing, how much they can scale in your account. But this is a decent guideline that if you have a total of X amount search budget to work with, 15 to 20% of it should probably go towards DSAs, with then 10 to 15% on branded, potentially even less than that. Non-branded search, 25-35%, and shopping PMAX 30-40, potentially up to 50 plus. It totally depends on the account once again and what kind of modes and formats perform well for you. But in any case, giving it somewhere 10, 15, 20% of budget can work reasonably well. So that is the crash course on dynamic search ads. I hope you found this helpful. If you want to know exactly how to set up a DSA campaign, I can make another video on that one for you. It is usually the process of just going into a search campaign, into an ad group, and then within that ad group, choosing dynamic targeting rather than regular targeting. But remember, do it in its own campaign. Don't do it in an existing search campaign because you'll muddle up your data. Anyway, that's all for me today. I hope you guys found this one helpful. If you watched this and you thought, wow, that is way more complex than I expected, I would like someone to probably help me get this set up. Please feel free to book a call down below. I'm more than happy to chat with you about Google Ads opportunities and how we could help you grow your business with Google Ads. Otherwise, if you had any suggestions of future videos, please drop them in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoy this content, and I'll see you in the next one.